The UK uses a mixture of Moderna, Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines, giving people 2 doses about 12 weeks apart. Here, in early June, people in their early 30s and late 20s are finally starting to get their first dose. That includes me. Once notified by the NHS, you book a date and time using the available 5-minute slots online. For Plymouth, many of the vaccines are carried out at the Plymouth Argyle football stadium, which is where I had mine done. Lots of tents are set up outside, though the vaccines were done in a large hall overlooking the football field. Unfortunately, I was not able to film inside to respect the privacy of people there, so I'll just have to use images of the place that I found online. In short, I queued up, talked to the person at the front to confirm who I was, then was given this leaflet with my NHS number written onto it. This leaflet details everything about the vaccine I was going to have, the potential side effects, and so on. I was given the Moderna one. I was supposed to read all this as I was queuing for the next room, but I forgot because I was too busy looking around at everything. I then entered this room, which was filled with privacy panels and felt kind of like a large office. At the front was a lovely view out across the football stadium. I then sat in front of somebody next to the window who asked me about my allergies and stuff, and whether I identify as white. And then I entered a small booth to get the jab. I wish I could say I was good with injections. I used to be fine with them, but as I've got older, I get less and less comfortable about it, even though I admit that it never hurts that much. I think as a child I assumed that long pointy bit was just for show, but now I know that's pretty much how far it goes in, and something about that doesn't sit right with me. So with the COVID injection, I was fine, until I sat in that chair and the nurse reached for a needle, at which point I got that horrible realisation that I'm about to get injected and that there's no escape. I scrunched my face up and looked away and hoped that, for whatever reason, it never reached my arm. All it was a light prick, and then suddenly my arm muscle twitched in that exact spot. Thanks, body. Just what I needed. A few seconds later, the nurse said, "There, that wasn't so bad, was it?" At which point I assumed it was over and moved away, only to find it was still inside me, and she was like, "Oh no, don't move, that's the worst thing you can do." Despite my best efforts to mess it up, it didn't hurt or bleed too much, and I then headed to the waiting area for 15 minutes. You'd think it would make sense for the waiting area to be close by, but I had to walk down several long corridors to get there, which amused me, thinking of how tough it would have been for anybody feeling lightheaded or queasy. I sat in a waiting area with everybody else for 15 minutes, then went on with my day. I have almost passed out from one injection in my life. Funnily enough, it was when I was young and wasn't scared of injections at all. I was sat in the waiting room afterwards, kind of bored, then suddenly I felt really ill and almost passed out. Of course, everybody said it's because I was scared, which to this day I deny, pointing out that if I was to pass out, then surely I would do it before getting the injection and not afterwards. But then I guess this is why you're meant to wait 15 minutes before leaving. With the COVID Moderna vaccine, I haven't had any side effects or anything from it. My arm aches a bit, and 2 days on I think it's a bit more painful than it was yesterday, but I still only notice it when I'm lifting my arm, pushing open a car door, lying on it, or hitting it in some way. So it's about normal for an injection. So yeah, first vaccine's done. I know it won't be effective for a few weeks, so I'm playing it safe. But I love knowing that no matter how much I procrastinate and waste my time in the coming days, I can rely on my body to be hard at work, developing an immunity. Aren't vaccines wonderful? And Bill Gates.